What's going on, guys? It's your boy Maharos, and I'm back with another video. Today, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin. It's been a while since I did my update. There's actually not been that much of an update to give, but I want to point to a lot of macro things in this video, so buckle up because this shit about to get real, So, first things first, I like to preface my videos on the previous thought process, right? So I first thought this was a flat, and of course, as the thread progresses, we do pretty well, anticipate the flat, right? We have like 7 months of straight precision. However, in my last month from April, we didn't exactly hit the target that I was expecting around 54K, and we didn't get the alt season that I expected. But again, I said if BTC moves too fast, it might steal the show, and in that case, it did move too fast. It actually move down quickly, reclaiming a lot of dominance, and then that is what invalidated the flat that I expected, or I'm sorry, the alt season that I expected to happen, and it went into the second case of the running flat that I expected, right? And actually, the funniest part about this all is, I think over here somebody comments. Let's see if I can find it. Talking about expecting a running flat correction. I think it might be in this scenario here. If it's not in this one, then it could even be over here, I think, right? Let's take a quick look. And there you go, over here, right? One of my friends here says, give me expanded flat. And I said, shh, we don't want to scare them yet. Because at the moment in January, there's no reason to expect that flat just yet because we have to wait. And for those who are questioning what is an expanded flat is when B goes past A and C goes past A, right? So it's important to note that basically it's, again, we call it expanded. It expands past the top of wave 5 and C goes past wave A. So, that is the alternative scenario. Initially, I had the running correction, where B can go slightly past the top of wave 5 or a little bit past. And so that's what happened here. But of course, it's not been invalidated. Now we're expecting the irregular flat scenario here. So we're going to pretty much build off that right now. And that's going to be what I'm going to be mainly focusing on is that running flat correction and how it's looking. And I'm going to give you supporting evidence as to why I believe that's happening here, right? So this is my main count, and I think it's something that we should take a look at, and I'm gonna give you guys an idea of why I think this way. So for all my Elliot wave traders, you guys will understand that in every single 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the corrections are alternating, right? So wave 2 is complex or simple, and then wave 4 is complex or simple, right? So they alternate. So because wave 2 is a triangle, right? This is a neutral triangle. Wave 4, which is this, is now a simple correction, right? It plays out more easier, right? And it's not as complex as this wave 2, right? Because this is literally pretty hard to map out. And when it first happened, I didn't quite understand it at that time. But as it played out, it makes more sense. And now looking at this all together from the lows of the last cycle, this all is one big picture. So that's pretty much my count. And looking a step closer over here, when we look at this, I pretty much subdivided it, each correction in each wave. We see that wave A took 100 days, wave B took about 110 days, and wave C is not really done yet. I'm anticipating it to be done around June, early June. But what's important to note here is that whenever A plus B, or I'm sorry, A and B are equal in time, that means that you use A plus B. That will give you the time of wave C, right? So again, most Elliot wave traders who use time, and this is something I learned from NeoWave. It's a really effective way to trade. Helps you understand time really well. But whenever A and B are essentially equal in time, or close to being equal in time, I know it's 10 days off, but we can still use this method. You can add them together to give you where the next wave would end, right? It can help you understand where you can look. And it's funny that we're looking at this area here, early June, for this to end, and we are consolidating, right? So that to me is not like, you know, like a chance. I think it's like almost perfect, and this is supporting this theory that in about early June, 210 days with this formula, that this is true, right? That we are probably going to get some type of reversal, right? And I'm not saying that we're about to go to 100K. No. What I'm saying is right here, this is the local low, potentially, and we'll be able to react from there, right? Now, there is, of course, there could be a little bit more blood to be shed, but I don't think that there's going to be a lot of bloodshed, if there is, because we're so close to the bottom right now that people don't even understand. Like we're so close to the bottom, and I'm going to give you guys more things to look at, like this RSI chart. So right now I have BLX, and I have it alongside with just the RSI. If you notice, every single time that the RSI 2-week time frame hits this low, right, and I have it around 40, this line, you can see that price pretty much bottoms. Price goes up, right? When it comes back to this low, yes, of course, it can go a little bit lower, but the whole idea is that when it goes to this low, it essentially starts to consolidate in reverse, right? And what we saw here is exactly that. We saw a capitulation style wick, just like we saw over here, right? A little bit of red following it, and then it consolidates, and then again, still hanging around there, and price grooves out of there, right? So that is, again, another example. So now 2 for 2 for the RSI, right? Over here, again, price consolidating, dumping, right? We see it go back to this low on the same level that I have, around 40, and guess what happens? Price bases, and it takes off, right? Confirming that this area, again, is a strong area to be paying attention to. Again, I sound like I'm just going to keep repeating myself because this is how simple it could be, but people can overcomplicate little shit. Over here, again, price comes back to the highs. RSI comes back to the lows here again. And guess what? Price wicks. Again, off the lows, and then it consolidates, and then it goes into a wave 3. And now, here we are again. Do we break the trend? Are we going to break this fucking trend, or are we going to go up? I cannot give you a guaranteed answer. But based off of history, we can say, hey, this is probably going to either have a little bit more downside here, but overall, we can say that we're close to a bottom. I don't believe that we're going to go straight through. And if we do, it'll probably be capitulation style, which already looks like it took place here, right? We already look like we've had some blood here. We might drag down a little bit lower, but I'm not expecting a lot of blood. And we're already approaching the timeline for this expanded flat 2 finish. So we'll see how that plays out. But this to me is a strong indicator that a low is forming. And I'm not saying that that's the macro low, that's the bottom's in, it's over. What I'm saying is that it could be a local low, which turns into a macro low, right? Because usually that's how it happens. You can't call a macro low, but you can call a local low that turns into a macro low, right? So that's really important to make sure that you guys are understanding, and somewhere that you want to be interested in buying. And what I think is most ironic about all that shit is that while that's all happening, right? This is the wrong chart. I'm gonna actually pull up the BTC USD longs, right, for Bitfinex, and this is also really important to understand because, guys, this right here is absolutely incredible. Like a lot of people don't really understand the magnitude of how strong this behavior is, right? Because every time, like, even if you look over here, guys, like this is January, like pretty much the longs were finished. All the Bitfinex whales literally dumped all their positions at that, like around this January high over here, because they knew that it was time to jump into altcoins, right? They closed all their positions, right? And that's literally when we saw altcoin season take place last time, was around, the end of January all the way leading into April, right? So these guys have been on the money, the Bitfinex whales. And even from here, guys, they started like slowly going and getting into more longs. And I thought it was really funny to see even here, like they exit really well and they enter really well on longs if you look at this chart overall. And for people who have been here since 2017, you guys will understand that Bitfinex whales are whales that you kind of want to watch. They have been nailing bottoms repeatedly, right? They set the bottom for 2 or 3 times already. They set the lows for Bitcoin like, a couple times already. Even if you look at these peaks here, like they're exiting and entering around highs and lows almost perfectly. And right now they have spiked longs. This is the highest Bitfinex longs have ever been. And it's not by a little bit, guys. They're really, really confident, right? Like they're really confident. Like this is like shattered the longs from before, and they're probably gonna 2x their confidence, and this is probably gonna go to like 100,000 here, and that's gonna be incredible to see because it just shows that this is not an area where you really want to be scared, right? Because again, Bitfinex, to even sign up for it as an exchange, you need to have $10,000 as a minimum balance. So it's not just Joe Schmoes jumping on there. It's more likely people who are a little bit more experienced and jump onto here because they kind of know what the hell they're doing, right? So that's something else that I really like to look at when it comes to adding confluence to the local lows here, and also we saw like a big cascade, of course, like from this lows here, like just this whole dump that took place, and it was all because of Lunar Foundation, and with that whole scenario, and that's the unfortunate reality, guys. That we see that big money will try to stop other big money out, right? Because this whole game is about liquidity. It's about liquidating other guys, and this right here is a prime example of bigger money taking out little money, and even as big as the Luna Foundation guard was, these other whales saw that, hey, listen, we could take advantage of these guys. They look like they're over collateralized, and you know what? We can liquidate them essentially, right? And it's crazy to see that how much Bitcoin they were buying, right? And they were just like completely eliminated out of the market, right? Like this is $1.76 billion in value. You guys can look right here. They had at one point 42,000 Bitcoins, and now it's zero. They completely liquidated. And there are some people who are saying, oh, they didn't probably sell their Bitcoin and this and that, blah 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 blah. But guys, this is their official page, right? And at one point they held 80,000 fucking Bitcoins, and now they have literally 313 Bitcoins. And even over here, it shows that they have 313 Bitcoins, which again is exactly what they're saying. So I don't think that they're bluffing here, or whatever the hell other people are thinking, because there's a lot of speculation at the time, like, oh, they just sent it to the exchange, but they never sold it. So I think it's safe to say now that they've sold it, because now they have come out and they've said that they sold it. So them like saying or lying about it, which I don't think they are, would be would cause more issues for the company itself, and that could be like more problems that I'm not going to get into. But being that how much damage has been caused already, I would really hate to see that they would be lying about something like that. So it is safe to say that they've pretty much sold their Bitcoin, and so it's pretty clear at this point that we're pretty much safe to say that big money has liquidated these little guys. And it's crazy to say that somebody with 80,000 Bitcoin is little, but somebody with even bigger money has taken out Luna, which is crazy because they've had 80,000 Bitcoins. And it caused a lot of panic because that kind of liquidation event just made everybody scared. So, I mean, hey, listen, that's the market, and that's just what happens. And another thing that I want to share here is that literally Bitcoin dominance is on a rampage, which just makes me believe that Bitcoin is probably going to have a solo rally, right? And we're probably not going to get the alt season or that mini run that I was talking about because of this. And I did preface that again, talking about, if Bitcoin moves too fast, it can steal the show and make alts bleed. And it bled to the direction I didn't expect. And that's okay because it falls into my second scenario. I'm still pretty bullish at this point on what's about to happen. So again, the alt market does look bad here, guys. Like this is not really something that you want to be super long. Of course, you can accumulate some of your favorite altcoins, but I think BTC is about to have its run here, and this also breaking down is not really a good sign here as well. I think we're probably going to retest the low over here around 0.53 before we can see any other consolidation taking place. But seeing this kind of strength come out of Bitcoin is something that is going to be indicative of a Bitcoin solo run taking place. And one thing I want to share is going to be also Bitcoin um, on-chain metrics. So this to me is super fascinating because this is the basically like addresses that have held Bitcoin for over a year, right? So this is like basically untouched Bitcoin. Like you bought Bitcoin and you never touched it. There is 65%, 65.77% of people who bought Bitcoin have held it for over a year. So that means they've held it through the Luna garbage, they've held it through the highs, the lows, everything. These guys are, not selling for their life. And that to me is insane because this is like 66% is basically 2/3 of the whole entire network. Like this kind of behavior out of like Bitcoin holders is fucking crazy to me because people are so bullish on the long-term like growth of Bitcoin. Like I've never seen this kind of like behavior ever in my entire life for anything, right? Maybe I'm just young or something, but like this is just insane. And even when you look at the addresses for even just 1,000 Bitcoin or greater wallets by addresses, the all-time highs was 2,500. Right now it's 2,200, and it's starting to grind back up. So that's pretty cool to see. So they are starting to accumulate again, 1,000 or more. And this is the one Bitcoin or greater wallets. And right now it's hit an all-time high. So there are wallets that hold over one Bitcoin by addresses, and that address size has hit 846,000. So what's interesting about this is the all-time high of one Bitcoin, addresses. And that to me, again, is another sign that people are just really, really confident because people have, essentially got themselves to one Bitcoin and it's at an all-time high, right? So people that are holding one Bitcoin is at an all-time high. And that's, again, incredible to see because people are holding like crazy. And it's just, again, little money is holding. Little money has faith on the long-term growth. Again, you see Bitfinex all-time high longs like never seen before. This is just the highest it's ever been in 5 years, right? This goes back to August, right? This is the highest it's ever been in 5 fucking years. So we see little money confident. We see Bitfinex is confident. I don't know, like this is confluence from the whale side, confluence from people who are like little money as well, right? Two-thirds of the network has not been touched for over a year, and they're holding strong. And also, this is another like on-chain metric. It's called the accumulation score. You guys can go to my website. I'll link it below on how it's calculated. But it's at a 1, and it's hit a 1 for like 5 or 6 days straight, which is the highest it can hit. It doesn't mean that that means that like that's the low and that's it. But what it means that essentially over here in this area, we're probably going to start flattening out to see a little pump take place. And again, that's why I said that we could see a little bit of price action, go down a little bit, but that doesn't mean that we're not close to forming a low essentially. So I'm really confident to see how this shit all plays out. And it's going to be real fun to see everything because these markets are not always going to repeat themselves, right? Every single time this market has topped differently, it's bottomed differently. You cannot use the same shit over and over again, guys, because it's different, right? In 2011, market just has a blow off top, completely comes all the way back down and pumps up and just starts making higher lows and higher highs, right? And that's the end of that cycle, right? Price comes back over here, again, blow off top. And instead of having a dump, right, and just recovering and making high lows and higher highs, it actually goes sideways and has an accumulation phase, right? So this is a different type of bottom than we saw here, right? And then over here, again, a blow off top where, we see accumulation here. And if you were looking at that time, there's a lot of people in 2017 expecting the lows to copy this and just start going up. No, what happens? A crash takes place and then it forms a base, which is different because this didn't have that kind of base form at the bottom. Instead, it just recovers and then forms a base a little bit higher than the lows. And then again, it rises back up and people think that's it. It's going to start making higher lows and higher highs so easily. But instead, price comes crashing back down to that low, forming a neutral triangle, which the market has never seen before. And then again, going back up to these highs here. And essentially doing a double top, which has never happened in Bitcoin history. Every single low and every single top that we've seen in this market has been different every single cycle. So I don't know why people are pointing to certain things saying, hey, this and that, when realistically it's not black and white. But again, all the things that I showed you guys just now, it's pretty confluent. I'm very convinced myself. If you're not convinced, that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. I could be completely fucking wrong, guys. And again, none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Go seek, financial advice if you're looking for that. Go contact your, somebody, but not me. I'll tell you that right now. And yeah, this is it. That's the nature of this market. Not everything is so black and white, but what we can do is look at a bunch of information, compile that information, and see what is that information telling us. And right now, it's clear that a bottom is forming. It's not even close to arguing otherwise, right? Because we have already seen capitulation. We have already seen the big money get stopped out. We have already seen, even if you're a range trader, a liquidity tap at the highest level right here, guys. Literally, we see that this like wick region, right, essentially stops out over here, and this is again a big stop hunt for people getting wiped out of the market. And it's just amazing to see like how much confluence there is across the board. And yeah, I mean, we'll see how this plays out. I'm very fascinated to see how this plays out next month. And I hope we get some move, right? I hope it either it pumps to the upside, or it just starts selling off. Like, I just want to see some action, because definitely from last month it's been pretty boring. But that's usually how like these corrections happen to take place, right? Sentiment is an all-time low. Even Ethereum fees hit the lowest they've ever been since like last year of June or something, like at $2 or something. So that just shows that there's not that much activity on a lot of networks. So yeah, we'll just see how this all plays out. And even like just looking at like how much money is being poured into these markets, like just like crypto markets, like you have $4.5 billion being funded for a new A16 crypto venture that they just announced. And like there's so many hedge funds and financial institutions just pouring money, and I'm talking about like hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, because they all know that this is going to be the next wave, right? And we'll just see how this all plays out. I'm really excited and I'm really passionate about this market and what's gonna happen. And yeah, guys, if you guys have made it this far, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Please like the video. It helps the algorithm. Sub if you haven't already. And as always, haro, haro, haro. Peace.